Well, thank you for staying with us. The Asaolu of Remo Christian Choir Festival is what we want to talk about now. It's an annual gathering for choral performances by various church choirs, choral groups nationwide. It started about 16 years ago as part of the annual Family Thanksgiving program of Otumba Benga Daniel, former governor of Ogun State, at the International Ecumenical Worship Center, Abraham Tabernacle in Shagamu, Ogun State. It's a worship place he built to honor God and immortalize his late father, His Grace Most Reverend Abraham Adebola Daniel JP, who lived between 1916 and 2011. So the Choir Festival is a spiritual and moral lessons for preaching the gospel through music and improving singing in churches. The festival director also doubles as the executive secretary of the BOT is Dr. Opeyemi Asaolu, a lecturer at the Department of Music, Olabisi Onabanjo, University Agoiwoye. He joins us here in the studio. Thank you for joining us here, Dr.
Thank you very
Asaolu.
much for having me, Ayo.
Let me just, please, let's behave ourselves. Okay, because you are my guest, I'm your host, so let's behave ourselves.
Ayo.
Sorry, for those who don't know where that is coming from, we go way back. We work together. He's also a broadcaster. So that's I said, let me just, because, anyway, let's not talk about that one yet. So, thanks for joining us this morning.
It's my pleasure.
I know that music is your space, it's your forte. And so, first of all, allow me to segue into music generally.
All right.
And talk about the benefits of music, particularly the kind of music that you that you really enjoy making. Talk to us about, first of all, your genre of music and what's the essence of it that people don't know.
Well, for everyone, we all have our music appeals, as in there are things that appeal to us when you talk about music. And if you're talking about my genre of music, you know, classical music, hymns, we're talking about this somewhere, and it was said that virtually all the guys in the hip-hop scene in Nigeria today, virtually all of them, maybe some of them came from the church, came from the choir. That what have actually set the tone for what they're doing now. Either perhaps they were singing in a SATB choir or a children choir or even a contemporary choir. Some of them, they will talk to you, talking to you about what they did some 20, 30 years ago, where they were able to sing maybe some, How Excellent Is Thy Name, or some choral pieces of Handel and all of that. One thing that is pertinent about this is that it's like the music is just there. It doesn't change. Imagine a music that was written in 1650. I know you are going to do the calculation like how many years that. Handel wrote Hallelujah Chorus some 100 years ago, and we still sing Hallelujah Chorus today, and it's still relevant. Some choirs are still just going to learn the anthem or Hallelujah Amen or Zadok the priest. Some works by Haydn, Joseph Haydn, Mozart, Beethoven, some piano works. When you see some deep lawyers, as in lawyers who are well grounded in their enclosure, you see there are two things that you see with them. Either you see jazz works or classical works.
You're leading me to where I want to go. What are the purposes or functions? I was going to talk about the therapeutic, but we'll come back to that later. why is it that people who are... I've seen a number of people who are more in the academic space, who are more in the intelligence space, love the music, the jazz music of this world, the classical music of this world, the hymns or hymnals of this world, instrumentals, with certain kinds of instrumentals, not just, all this, with drums and other percussions like that. Why?
Because those things are deep. Even when you look at, when you listen to some jazz expressions, maybe a piano, is doing, some solo work. The feel, it's called a feel in music. It could be a kind of thematic material, and then it will go on, and the person will just meander, and then you're like, what is this guy doing? Talking about hymns now. I said this to someone during the course of a week, that there are some fantastic organists who ministers. They ministers with their playing. When they play the organ, imagine yourself worshiping at the Cathedral Church of Christ Marina in Lagos, and then with the pipe organ, the antiphons, the Spanish pipes, and all that, and then the organist or the man on the organ plays the organ, and then he now did a variation in the course of a hymn. To some, they will do that variation in such a way, or those variations in such a way, that it would take you to the throne of grace. How do I mean? You build those themes, and then it will go. Then modulation is happening in between for only discerning mind. That, okay, well, what is this person doing? But for someone who understands, like, I've seen people who will listen to hymns and they will collapse, they will faint. The music takes them from this body, and they were like, what happened to you? I don't know. How did you get to where you were? Did you see angel? I don't know. The power of music can't be explained. You cannot. And if you are talking about the spirituality of music, virtually all music is spiritual. Not in the sense that we are going to look at it like, okay, well, I fall under. Virtually all music, it depends on the way you are saying it.
So essentially you're saying that we have to be very picky what kind of music we listen to.
The kind of music that we listen to says a lot about who we are. It can actually form the kind, there are things that you listen to. You are not singing when they are playing it, those times when Barbing Saloon will play loud music from speakers, and unconsciously you are in the bedroom the following day, you are just humming. You're like, how did they come?
You remind me of a lecturer. I think he's in Canada now. Was giving a talk one day, and he was called previously somewhere to come give a talk at an end-of-year party. And they were playing this vulgar, secular song, and this guy is a Christian, a believer, and very committed, and all of that. He said he woke up the following morning unconsciously, just singing the lines, almost literally confessing negative things, and he just had to call himself back. So again, let me emphasize, it says, because we take it for granted that maybe it's just music. So let people understand, because some of us just love some artists without understanding that that artist has a strong communication, strong impact on our lives. Talk to us about that so people know, and then maybe from now we can begin to make choices.
All kinds of music that we listen to communicates to us. When you listen to, I'll put it to you, Ayo. There are certain type of music that you listen to, it will like somebody as in is going to cut in your element. You just be there. take for example, some hymns, maybe hymns that were written take for example, this popular hymn by Fanny Crosby, I think. Is it Fanny Crosby? You know, there is this hymn, It Is Well With My Soul. When you look at some stories of some of those hymns, a man who sent his family on a voyage, and then there was a shipwreck, and then the wife sent a message to him that saved alone. He had to come via a ship, line to meet the wife. And so when they got to where the shipwreck happened, the wife told him that it happened here. And it was said that the man knelt down and they said, it is well. That was the genesis of that hymn. And then when you're not like, okay, well, people will be singing, it is well with my soul, it is well with my soul. You don't know what actually led to that. Some people just hearing that, they will start crying. For example, when I sing in Yoruba, in my native language, it gets to every fiber of my being.
The name you were trying to remember is Horatio Stafford, right?
Yes, thank you very much. A lawyer, I think he was a lawyer and a real estate magnate. And there are some people like that they will just listen to a particular type of music and they'll be like, they will just be quiet.
You were trying to talk about your Yoruba singing.
Yeah. I remember, you said, way back then, we used to do some James Bond moves some 17, 18 years ago.
I'm innocent of all charges.
I remember that particular road we used to drive on that day, Iju Road, Iju Waterworks Road. That was a day. I can't remember exactly what I was going through at work. I can't remember. But there is this. I was playing this hymn in my car. I remember it was in front of that Guduba junction. And I started crying. I was crying like a baby. What was the hymn? Agbagbo Bila Temiloluwa. When it now got to verse 3, I think I was maybe I was being victimized at work or something like that. And then I was like, so that can Jesus suffer and then I will now be running. That's this thing that you are going through is just for a phase.
It's not everybody that remembers the lyrics of music. For instance, I remember telling my daughter, she just loved this particular song. And I was like, okay, are you even listening to the song? Said, I like the way you lie. And she was singing with such relish. And I was looking at her and said, are you listening to the lyrics of the song you're singing? It's like what's this old man talking about? The song says, I like the way you lie. I said, Dad, honestly, until now,
you never thought about it.
I never thought about it.
Never thought about it.
But these things manipulate us. That's what you're saying.
Yes. Because if we take time to, take for example the national anthem recently. For a young mind, you see, I talked to some people in less than 20 minutes. But for an adult, what you are thinking in your head is much more than you wanting to put some songs or some whatever in your head. I remember very well. It will be an aberration for me while growing up not to be in the choir. As my father would be so cross with me. And do you know what? I was a cross bearer. As a cross bearer, I'll process in, I'll process out with a cross. I won't have the opportunity to hold the hymn book. What do I do on Saturday evening? I'll commit all the stanzas. I'll commit them to memory, even if they are 9. And do you know what? Those things helped, even in my studies. So if you are thinking about the benefits, it goes beyond, things we can. And that's one of the things Asaolu of Remo, Christians, Otumba Gbenga Daniel, is doing with this program.
Talk to us about it. I think I saw him playing the organ.
Yes.
Does he play the organ?
Number one, you need to, like you, when you were doing the opening, his father was a clergyman. As a son of a priest, there are things that are expected of you. Okay. Being in the choir, doing all that. And when he was at Baptist Boys High School in Abeokuta, he he was in the choir. I think in 1973 he was one of the few boys that sang Hallelujah Chorus. I saw the picture in his library recently. And then when he was at BBHS, he was a college pianist.
Okay.
Someone mentioned it even recently at an event. I think Pastor Tunde Bakari, that Otumba Gbenga Daniel was the first keyboardist of his church. That he comes with his own personal keyboard to play when they started Latter in Assembly.
Wow.
He said it recently. I think that was a match. So that's all that were the reason where you would like that we can engage the youth.
Now,
with this.
Generally, and I'm sure because you have been in this choir space for a while, talk to us about this choir festival and what are its aspirations. It's been 16 years from what we know.
Yes, it started as a family Thanksgiving, 16 years ago. But it got rebranded 3 years ago when I was brought on board. I was consulted and we can actually do this. And the choir festival is a two-type theme. There is a choir festival and there is the choir competition. The choir competition is the highlight. The choir festival we come around, we sing hymns, we do those popular hymns, we sing together, our heart and all that. But the choir festival, the choir competition now is where we have choirs coming to compete for prizes. We have a total, amount of money of over 10 million naira.
Oh.
The first winner, the winner would be going home with 3 million naira. Aside, other prizes. And the first runner will be going home with 1.5. The third position will be going home with 1 million naira. The fourth, 750. The fifth, 600, and the sixth, 500,000 naira. Aside those ones competing, we have the observing choirs. Those ones are 12 in numbers. I would liken that to what happens in Premiership and in Champions League. In Champions League, it's only the winners in all the leagues that would be qualified to play at the Champions League, right? So those 6, I would regard them as the champions, who are playing in the bigger league, in the Champions League. While those 12 are those in other leagues, Serie A, Premier League, Bundesliga, and all that. Now, they will come around to observe, to see how it's done. Now, we can meet up with this. We can actually compete at this level. And then the following year, they would be auditioned. So if they were able to come in via audition, then they'll come in. So you won't put choirs that can, compete with themselves to be at par. So you rather, these ones, can actually compete at this level.
You actually categorize them?
Yes, via audition.
Okay. How many choirs, how many inputs do you get per time? That people who say, okay, they want to be a part of it.
Until this morning, we're still being asked, can we register? I was at Abraham Tabernacle on Tuesday evening, and some people they've been waiting there for hours, and they were like, so the gate man came to meet me that some people they've been waiting. I said, what do you want? They said, we want to be part. We came here to register and make inquiries about the program coming up on Sunday. I said, where are you from? They said, New Breed, Assembly, an arm of Redeemed Church. Where? They said, Mowe. Let's see what's to be by. I said, okay. And between then and Friday morning, the number of calls that I got of choirs that wanting to participate is more than 10. And we've had audition months back.
So how many choirs are going to feature in this competition?
6 are competing. 6, as in 6 are going to be on stage.
So you shortlisted 6 from how many?
From about 20.
Wow.
You know, as in highly competitive. And because his vision is to make this, you know, a national thing. So, you know, someone asked that, is this limited to Ogun State or to Southwest? I said, no. This year we're meant to have a cappella from Akwa Ibom. They were meant to come and perform. We have more than enough choir. A choir is coming from Akure. Out of the 6 choirs, we have the Emerald Choir from Akure. We have the Messiah Chorale from Ile-Ife. We have New One Osam from Lagos. New One Osam won last year. We have Great Remo Chorale from Shagamu there. We have the Chimba Chorale in Agoiwe. You know, we have still one more. You know, all of them are coming. Then the host choir, the Abraham Tabernacle Choir. They are the choirs, and you know, it's only 2 choirs that have automatic qualification. The host choir, the church choir, and the choir that is defending the
defending champion.
You know, those are the ones that have, you know, but even at that, they will still send in their videos because you were good last year does not mean that after 12 months you are still going to be good.
Wow.
So the judges, the panel will be able to like, okay, look at, okay, what have you been doing in the last 12 months? And then for those observing choirs coming, each and every one of them will be going on with 250,000. So it's not that they are just coming. Aside logistics, they are not just coming. The provisions has been made for them to go home with something. So everybody is a winner, you know.
So what is the objective? What's the vision of this competition?
Thank you very much, Ayo. The objective is simple: to improve the art of good singing in our churches. And Otumba Daniel confessed some few days back that he has visited some churches in Remo Axis and in Jebu Axis, and that he can attest to the fact that the art of singing has greatly improved in the last 24 months, 12 months. We started 2 years ago. We had another one last year. That the art he's been able to observe that singing and all that has greatly improved, and we are not stopping at this. That choirs should be all the observing choirs were given pieces to go rehearse, all of them. That okay, by the time you come around, at least there will be a tune that you will learn. And Asaolu of Remo Christian is not just putting up this program as a thing that's just, that will just come around and, just once a year. Another thing is just about the training and retraining of the trainers. The organist, we have dearth of good organists. As a good organist, I'm not talking of vampires. Dearth of good organists. So how do we train them? So one of the things the board, the Asaolu of Remo Christians himself is, what they're trying to do is to train would-be organists, like it was in the days of theirs, to organize symposium retreats for choirs. There are, what you find in most places is that you don't have disciplined individuals. And I do tell people, if you are not disciplined outside of a choir store, you can't be disciplined in the choir store. You cannot. So that there will be symposium for them, and then the relationship between the pulpit and the stall. The pulpits are the pastors. The stall are the choirs. The relationship between the pulpit and the organ. That's what's the relationship? Is there synergy? Do they work together well? We are trying to look into some of those things. And then the festival would see us having important personalities. The chairman for this year is the Ogbeni Oja of Ijebuland, Olorogun, son of Olorun Shokuku. We have, last year we have the former president of Nigeria, President Olusegun Obasanjo, and we're expecting him this year. Sir Kensington Adebutu, Ambassador Tokumbo Awolowo Dosunmu, some eminent personalities. Dr. Taiwo Afolabi, All of them are expected at this year's choir festival.
Now, there are those who are wondering, is this competition only for the church? Or are there other hopes of expanding the influence of the success of this competition and festival to other parts of the world, so to speak?
It's not only for the church. Most of those competing this year, they're not church choirs. Some of them are, choral groups. At least about 3 or 4 of them. But those who belong to a choral group maybe are members of different church choirs. It may not be one choir. They are members of different church choirs. So when you look at it, that okay, how do we go about this? Are we just going to have a choir festival and then it ends there? The idea is to be able to have a choir that will perhaps represent Nigeria in World Choir Games. Perhaps in UK, and there's this choir program coming up in Malaysia in 2025 that we could have choirs go there. The exposure is going to be one thing. You're going to learn new things, and it won't just end there, because the thing that you're going to be bringing, perhaps even choral pieces, when you exchange ideas with those you are meeting, maybe from Ghana or from other countries, from Australia, for example, those lessons are not things that you can go to the market and buy. And you think about it that, okay, as it's been done here in Remo Access, that's where the program is situated. The tentacles is being extended to the southeast, to the south, to the northeast, to the northwest, to sub-Saharan Africa, and to other parts of the world.
The reason I asked that question is the basis is from something that you said earlier, that most of the music makers today came from the church. Those who would never forget that late Whitney Houston, for instance, started from the church. And a good number of people like that as well for different parts of the world, even here in Nigeria, who started from the church. So that's the basis of the question. Are there such aspirations that, okay, the lessons they learn, the principles they learn, the cultures they cultivate will be extended into different parts of the other kinds of music that they decide to do? That's the basis of the question.
Yes, that will be in a place of training.
Okay.
It might shock you. Some of them may likely be going back to that church, where the roots. Don Jazzy started from the church. The band started from the church. And you won't see a bit of that church thing in some of the things they do, even when they are doing what some people will call worldly music. You still see.
There are some who right now remember that they would not forget seeing Davido playing drums in a church.
So that there is this influence of that church thing on what they are doing. And like you said, some of them would say they would never forget their roots. Now, in place of these guys coming back, could be, being there could be a kind of inspiration to some other folks coming. Even when some church would think, oh no, you are not. There was a day I went to. There's this church around Ogudu. There's the guy that plays the keyboard there. The producer of Olamide for years. What's this guy's name? Forgotten his name. And I was like, so this guy is a church guy. As in, when you get to the church, you're like, and the guy has been a producer, as in. Well,
there are quite a number of them. This guy also, ID Kabasa, is a church.
Is ID Kabasa that I wanted to?
I'm just not even going to go.
Is ID Kabasa I wanted to? I know. When I got to the church, Pastor Yemi's church, and I'm like, this guy is the one coordinating music, and I'm like, real?
Yeah.
So there are so many of them. Those it may not even. What's the name of this lady that sang? Is it Kelele or something? Then that said she wasn't doing any whatever music again. That she's just going to be doing the church thing and all that.
Okay, Chidima.
Chidima. There are some of them who are gifted. And this thing you can't, when God deposits it into your life, you can't take. There are some people who wants to know how to sing. They can't sing, they are tone deaf.
Oh no, they can sing.
You really?
In the bathroom. But there's something in all of these, and I have known you for a bit, and one of the things that I know, and which is a culture of music, is discipline.
Yes.
Now, someone who is unable to maintain certain disciplines may not be able to do music
absolutely
the way you have known it. When we talk about music, people, do you think? Let me make it a question. Do you think people understand? Because you see, the dexterity, the load of work that goes into classical music is the reason some people will never compromise, going for classical music, singing, classical hymns. They don't like all those percussions that don't really mean much, And you talked about the fact that some of these people prefer jazz, they prefer classical music, they prefer hymnals. Talk to us about the therapy of it. We'll come to the discipline. Talk to us about the therapy, the therapeutic benefits of music, and how it can help people's health, if you can tell us that.
That's an aspect of a branch of musicology or ethnomusicology, if you would say, music therapy. What you said now just reminded me of something, a personal experience. I remember I can't remember now, over 20 years ago, I had an operation, a minor surgery, appendectomy. And immediately I was wheeled out of theater. I was being taken into the recovery room. And the program was going on Radio Nigeria by, I think, it was Mrs. Banker Ademola that was on here. She has this program then, Classical Hour. And then she played a work by Antonio Vivaldi. I think a piano work. In my subconscious state, I was repeating what she said. And then the nurses started running, like, what happened? Like, maybe he wants to relapse, maybe I wanted to relapse or something like that. And then my mom smiled. I leave him alone, he's fine. He's reacting to that thing that he listens to, he heard on radio. So they now went, so they thought maybe the thing was disturbing me. One of the nurses now went to put off the radio. And I screamed that, who did that? So they were confused at what's wrong. So you don't know what music does. There are some people, when, let's go a bit, I know you don't usually say the Bible, the Holy Writ, like you say. We're told that when King Saul, in that state of his, and that's, just in that, David, a little boy, will be called to play on the harp. And that what will cure the king of his madness. Madness that Saul had at that time was not madness Ikowo. It wasn't on the streets, it was not. But he was mad. Maybe that's what those in medical sciences or in medical life will call mild psychosis. Perhaps. But before maybe his mild psychosis, maybe he had depression. The depression is already dealing and messing up with but that and if you find most people that would add face a phase of depression or something, they don't usually like to listen to music. At that time, they don't want to listen to anything. As in, anything at that time, they just want to shut it out. Because if they can't listen to music at that time, that thing will take, because before you know it, you'll be singing with your heart. You are not saying anything now. You still do agidi small. I think somebody used to say that now from leg movement, you take enter dance. You are in that state, and then you are listening to music. As you are listening to the music, you'll be singing by heart, small. And if care is not that depressing moment that person has found, would likely fade out or phase off. That's when you don't listen to anything at all. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to, either in the house or in the car. I just want to be this solitary kind of thing. It messes up with it, with one's mental state. And the therapeutic nature of music is not what anyone can explain. You cannot. And that's why I said something the other time, that music appeals to us in different way, in different form.
And music also influences us.
Absolutely.
But we don't know many times. Give you an example. Back in the day, I think it was in the 90s, I used to commute, via buses, from those minibuses, to work from one end of town to another, towards Ikeja. And I noticed, over time, I just noticed that there are certain kinds of influences and certain kinds of driving styles or patterns that I noticed, depending on the music the driver was listening to.
AY. There is this place on, if you are going to Magodo, Shagisha, every Friday, via Saturday like this, you just see cars getting into a ditch. There is this ditch at the end of that road. I think they've done a kind of whatever barrier there now. When boys are coming back from club on Friday night, when things don't enter body well, if you yourself know now, when the way the thing is going to be telling you to match, and the way they are stepping on the pedal could be as a result of the beat. If it's an hot beat and the thing is.
But it goes back to what I'm saying. Because, so I've seen drivers listening habitually to reggae music.
Yes.
And I see the way they drive.
Yes.
Those who listen to raga, a variant of reggae,
yes,
it has a different modulation. Those who listen to Fuji,
yes,
there is a different variation. Now, those who listen to certain artists who play Fuji, it's a different variation in their way of life and style of driving.
Yes.
There are those who listen to juju music. Then there are those who listen to hip-hop. Now, hip-hop is also different from rap music.
Absolutely.
So those things, sometimes we don't even know that the music we listen to, either by choice or by association, influences our habits, our characters, our behaviors one way or the other.
We don't know.
So how do we track that? Because I love this music, even though it's killing me.
Yeah, well, pardon me, Yorubas will say, you love it and it's affecting you, it's messing up with you. All of us knows what is good for us. You only somebody that is bad, no. As in, whose character is not good, knows. But he's looking for somebody who's going to tell him that, well, your character is. So if you know that this music is not good, there is this particular whatever. If you talk about how it's a humongous thing, when you talk about how music influences us, especially the younger ones. I remember my father used to be a vicar of a particular church, a big church, and the sexton, the daughter of a sexton, about 3 years old. 3? Less than 3 at that time, because she was barely walking. there was a barbering salon. Those guys, what those guys did to some people. The guy was always playing, those were the days of ragamuffin, and all that. And then suddenly the Fuji boys came and they were doing, there was a particular one. I just mentioned a particular one. And then this little girl started singing that like, where? Until we were able to trace it, the vicarage is just a stone throw to the barber's shop. Where? How did this happen? We don't play this kind of music around in the church. How did and the girl will be singing that, like that. Now, if music can influence a little child like that, how much more an adult? Like you said the other time, some people they would have gotten into the bedroom, they would have been humming and they were like, wait, Satan, I rebuke you. I rebuke you, I bind you. They will now be kabashing. They listen to it unconsciously. It's not a problem they wanted to, but the thing just happened and then bam, they're already singing. And then what actually changed the narrative a bit of how those things were played down were the days when what I would call, or what some scholars have called sentimental music, came on board by some, gospel artists. And they started with work with a song like Yosha Golode Pota. It appealed to non-Christians, to Muslims, to everybody, to even tradition. That played down those lewd lyrics. And then when you said something that those who listen to Juju, who are listening to Miliki Express, you'll be Miliki the Mama Drive. No, you won't Konisha Gra now. Or you are listening to Ike Dairo. You are listening to Eleda Mochori. You want to be doing that.
Actually, there are some other. For instance, I have this, just remembering, even though I don't know the lyrics of Anne Maria Joss.
Okay, yeah, Anne Maria Joss, yes.
Goje. That instrument is, I don't know. Okay. So, in closing, because we're gradually getting there. The value of music.
Yeah.
We just love music without having a purpose for it. Okay. So, how do we make that transition of loving music for purpose, not just for fun, for function, not just for the fun of it? And don't also forget that making that transition is difficult.
Absolutely.
I've loved Davido all my life. I've loved Wizkid. I've loved Michael Jackson. I've loved Deborah Cox all my life. I've loved Leo Oscar all my life. And here I am being told that this music is killing me. So, making that transition, dropping what I love for what I need, it's a difficult one.
Thank you very much, Ayo. What you just said now is what scholars would refer to as functionality of music. What does it do to you? At times I choose to listen to chants from Westminster Abbey Cathedral for 2 hours, non-stop. You just be playing psalms that are, it's giving me a kind of not soul-inspiring thing. It's not loud. It's just solemn, and it's just, just going, because it's not metrical. You don't know where, you are just singing, one of the chants we're going to sing tomorrow. I was glad when they said unto me. I know you'll be familiar with that for a reason. I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. Our feet shall stand in that. You don't know where you are going. If you are not familiar with it, you'll be like, what are they singing? Are they singing these or, that's Psalm 122. So you look at it, the functionality of music would be inherent in the person who is listening. You are going to be the one to determine what you want to listen to and the kind of effects this is going to have on you.
Interesting. So, back to this classical music. This event is tomorrow?
by God's grace.
Okay. Give us all the details that people.
Yes. The program starts tomorrow at 12 noon, and the venue is Abraham Tabernacle, Opeyemi Road, Shagamu in Ogun State. It's in GRA, you know.
So this is one of those performances then?
Oh, yes. This is the Chamber Chorale performing Glorious is Thy Name. This was that of last year.
Okay.
You know, that's a choir, and I think that's been conducted by Dr. Femi Akonde of Department of Performing Arts.
Forgive me for going into this particular one. What all those hand demonstrations?
Yes.
How does it affect the choir?
Yes,
help people understand.
Okay, how do conductors of a bus?
No, they just call those ones. They just call the person just to enter.
That's you know, I teach conducting.
Okay.
I teach conducting. That they just call passengers in. That's what I used to teach.
Okay.
In conducting, a bus conductor will tell you, will ask you, where's your bus stop? The same thing a bus conductor is doing is what a choral conductor does. This is the bus stop of Auto. Stop. Come in. Turn up. Dude.
Oh, okay.
That's a simple explanation I use in my conducting class.
There is also a different way that different people do. Some are rising, falling. Some
there is what we call expressive conducting.
Okay.
You have hinge conducting. You have, you know, it depends on the way, what you've been able to do with your choir. So when they know your style of conducting, they will fall in line. Like the way you understand that the conductors could be this. You know, when the conductor asks you for your change, you know, he knows what he's saying.
Okay, give us the other details. So it starts at about 12 noon, you said?
12 noon, yes.
Okay.
But before then, there will be pre-festival performance. We're expecting the Navy Band, the Nigerian Navy Band will be playing from 11 a.m. To 11:20. And then Intuition Orchestra, you know, will be playing, you know, brass orchestra with a timpani. We're playing between 11:20 and 11:40. And then Igbobi College Boys, you know, fantastic boys. Igbobi College Boys will play between, you know, yes, in Lagos, yeah. They will sing, you know, about 2 anthems between 11:40 and 11:50. And we are going to have a tenor solo. You know, Nanso tenor will sing 2 tenor solos, you know, my tributes. You know, how can I say thanks for all the things you've done for me, and another hymn between 11:50 and the top of the hour. And then at exactly 12, we're going to start the program.
For how long is it going to run?
About, that's about 2.5 hours, 3 hours, thereabout.
Dr. Opeyemi Asaolu, music consultant and director of music for the Asaolu of Remo Christians Choir Festival. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
And we wish you all the best. The Asaolu of Remo Christians Choir Festival is happening on the 16th of June, 2024. We're right back in a moment. To stay with us.